Today, we will uncover a fascinating, little-known, and mysterious story that reveals an intriguing side of two great historical figures, Nikola Tesla and Mark Twain. Did you know that these two geniuses, seemingly so different, were great friends? In one of the most unusual and profound conversations they had, Tesla shared a secret with Twain that still sparks curiosity and amazement today. Imagine discovering that Tesla believed he had conversed with the devil. What could he have seen and felt during those experiences? Get ready to unravel the details of this astonishing narrative, which blends friendship, philosophy, and the boundaries of science and spirituality. Let's explore this intriguing story and find out what led Tesla to make this peculiar and terrifying revelation. This story about Nikola Tesla is little known, and he almost never mentioned it. He only shared it once with his great friend, the famous writer Mark Twain. Yes, Tesla and Twain were friends. Twain was 75 years old and Tesla 54 when they had this peculiar conversation, shortly before Twain's death in 1910. Mark Twain always felt that his end was near. If you have read some of his works, you may have noticed that he had a critical view of God and organized religion, especially Christianity. Twain was more of an agnostic. He did not deny the existence of God, but he had many criticisms of religious institutions. Have you heard the expression, "There are no atheists in a falling plane"? Well, yes, it's easy to have certainties about God when we are young and full of energy, but near death, it is inevitable to reflect on what comes next. It is not surprising that the conversations between Twain and Tesla often touched on philosophical topics like death and divinity. It was during one of those conversations that Tesla shared a secret he had never revealed to anyone. There are no records of that moment, but on his deathbed, Twain told his only surviving daughter, Clara, about that conversation. He revealed that Tesla claimed to have spoken with the devil. Tesla was truly an extraordinary person. Since childhood, he was tormented by vivid visions and hallucinations. He slept only 2 hours a night and claimed that all his inventions came from these visions or dreams. Moreover, Tesla had an impressive photographic memory. Everything he saw, he remembered forever. Now imagine, what if one of humanity's greatest geniuses had inexplicable visions? And what if I told you that Tesla, amidst debts and difficulties, used a high-frequency apparatus on his brain that put him into a deep sleep, almost like apparent death? What did he find in those states of consciousness? How did Tesla explore the labyrinths of his mind and encounter a mysterious entity, a vision he described as the devil himself? Let's understand what that vision meant to Tesla and how it influenced his research. In 1907, Tesla was facing a difficult period. He was drowning in debt, not only due to the cost of the hotel room where he lived, but also because of his research, which required significant financial resources. Sometimes he secretly took a train to Wardencliff, where he connected a high-frequency apparatus to his head, subjecting his brain to a massive voltage of 150 volts. In an interview with the New York Times, Tesla revealed that after this high-voltage experience, he would enter a lethargic sleep, almost like apparent death. This sleep lasted much longer than normal and was still little studied by scientists. Unlike a coma, his body could still sustain itself autonomously. During these periods of deep sleep, Tesla explored the labyrinths of his mind, trying to organize his thoughts. It was an unprecedented experience for him. Tesla needed time to identify the observer in his mind. Although it still belonged to the scientist, he was the master of this new experience. Eventually, he found thoughts that were not his own, a vision of the devil. If you imagine the devil as a horrifying being with horns, you are mistaken. Perhaps in the real world, it has horns, but in Tesla's vision world, it manifested as a cluster of light, with a spectrum and density slightly different from the space around it. This light stood out because Tesla could not comprehend it, could not think of it as part of himself. It was a completely separate entity within his head. Have you ever imagined what it would be like to come into contact with a mysterious entity and receive an avalanche of information in your mind all at once? What if that entity were, in fact, the devil himself, playing a completely different role than we imagine? What really happened during that contact, and how did it affect Tesla's life and inventions? Tesla felt intrigued and decided to try to make contact with that mysterious light. It was not a common conversation, where questions and answers are exchanged. This dialogue was more like a direct shot to the mind, where a massive amount of information invaded his consciousness all at once, as if new neural connections suddenly formed, bringing instant understanding. It was like a moment of illumination when everything becomes clear. That light was, in fact, the devil, one of God's angels tasked with controlling life on earth. The devil was not an adversary of the Creator. That idea is a great misconception. No one can oppose God. The devil fulfilled the mission he had been given, a job that needed to be done far from the Creator's throne. This saddened him. but at the same time, there was a slight spark of interest in those who tried to understand God's plan, escaping the body in such a peculiar way. The devil was accustomed to travelers who arrived at that plane, perhaps the astral plane, through long meditations and exhaustive fasts. He studied Tesla, and Tesla studied the devil. It can be said that their minds fused to some extent. Tesla felt the power, saw what his inventions were capable of, and the strength they could confer. He understood how his creations could change the world, both for good and for evil, and that terrified him. That experience left Tesla profoundly affected. He perceived the immense impact of his inventions and the responsibility that came with that knowledge. The duality between the power and the consequences of his creations accompanied him for the rest of his life, influencing his decisions and his visions for the future of humanity. After the contact, Tesla withdrew abruptly, and his body suffered a violent spasm. He felt as if he were falling onto a hard surface. He woke up in a panic, his clothes drenched in sweat, and his heart beating frantically. Thanks to his photographic memory, he remembered everything he had experienced. From that day on, there was not a moment when he did not recall that vision. Tesla had the potential to change the world, but he chose not to follow that path. There is no transmission of atmospheric electricity, no death rays, nothing that could be used as a weapon. Tesla destroyed all the records. The devil tempted him with power, offering the sweet sensation of strength and dominance. Tesla resisted and managed to steer away in time. Today, he is remembered as one of the greatest geniuses in history, and not as the greatest villain. In that conversation between Twain and Tesla, there is no definitive end, for those who lived never truly die. They are all here now, with us. It is hard to believe this story, and I myself was shocked when I first heard it. But then I thought about my own feelings. I do not have a photographic memory. My memories fade, and disconnected fragments of visions swirl in my mind. I do not remember the world on the other side, and yet Tesla's account touched something within me. For me, what the inventor told is true. But who really was Tesla? Did he truly obtain his knowledge from parallel worlds? Did the devil himself reveal the secrets of the Egyptian pyramids to him? Or is there something deeper and more mysterious in his story? What made Tesla such an enigmatic and fascinating figure to this day? The great Egyptian pyramids possess a fascinating characteristic. They are aligned with the starry sky. Think about this. The stars are always moving, changing position in the sky. Even the North Star has changed location over 4,000 to 6,000 years. The Earth's axis itself changes position in space relative to the stars. How is it possible that an ancient civilization, even the most advanced of its time, managed to build these pyramids with such precision, aligning them with the stars of Orion's belt? It seems improbable. The Great Pyramids of Giza actually resemble the center of a planetary network, as practically all known pyramids can be connected to each other by imaginary meridians. It is evident that all the pyramids on the Earth's surface have some type of interconnection. These structures were built to interact with each other. By examining the designs of the pyramids, the young Tesla concluded that these constructions were a type of generator, a facility capable of accumulating and transmitting energy. But what sparked Tesla's interest in structures nearly 6,000 years old? Was it mere curiosity? Or perhaps it was the devil himself who revealed these secrets to him? In any case, Tesla's fascination with the pyramids and his theories about energy continue to intrigue and inspire to this day. Nowadays, when we call someone a genius, we generally refer to an intellectually brilliant person who excels in a specific field. But that definition is only part of the story. Many times we forget the metaphysical dimension of genius and focus only on the practical results. However, the most important aspect is the ability to connect with the planet's energetic and informational field. In ancient Greece, geniuses were seen as guardian spirits of people, places, and natural phenomena. These beings shaped the environment around them and were considered energetic and informational entities. They interacted with certain people, transmitting information that seemed miraculous. But how did the brilliant mind of Nikola Tesla work? And how did his hallucinations and peculiar crises have anything to do with his revolutionary inventions? How did his visions shape the technologies we use today? And what sacrifices did he make to turn his ideas into reality? From childhood, Nikola Tesla was peculiar and suffered crises similar to epileptic seizures. Tesla reported hearing voices that no one else could hear and having hallucinations, which he struggled with throughout his life. It is intriguing to think that, without these particularities, we might not have the great inventions he left us. A famous episode in Nikola Tesla's life occurred while he was still a student. During one of his crises, while walking in the park with a friend, he had a vision of his first generator. Right after the crisis, he took a branch and drew a sketch in the sand. This event is widely known and leads us to an intriguing question. Could Tesla have been influenced by some kind of entity? Many refer to these geniuses as daemons. If we investigate, we will see that the symbol of the genius is frequently a demonic serpent. In the Bible, we read about the serpent that tempted Eve with the fruit from the tree of knowledge. This story not only speaks of the fall and expulsion from paradise, it illustrates how humans learn to gain knowledge by connecting with these geniuses. Essentially, Eve became the first medium, establishing a connection with energetic and informational entities. Tesla's genius also seemed to be linked to a connection with entities from subtle planes. Despite his extraordinary intelligence, his human side suffered deeply. He never started a family, slept only 2 hours a night, and worked tirelessly. What was his purpose? All the money he earned he reinvested in his experiments. Like someone possessed by a vision, he transformed the world around him according to his visionary plans. Indeed, he not only changed the United States, but the entire world. And it is difficult to find someone who would contradict this statement. And what about the pyramids? There is a legend that, while studying the designs of the Great Pyramids, Tesla had a revealing vision. He perceived that the pyramid was a gigantic mechanism and that there should be some kind of sphere at the top. If the pyramid accumulated energy, that sphere would be responsible for its generation, occupying the currently empty platform. This is how the Wardencliff Tower, or Tesla Tower, came to be. This tower was designed for the transatlantic transmission of telecommunication signals, communication and information transmission, as well as wireless energy transmission, which are essentially the same thing. Subsequently, Tesla conducted experiments to transmit an enormous amount of energy to Siberia, resulting in the event that many thought was a meteorite impact, later known as the Tunguska event. At that time, Tesla possessed almost omnipotent power, capable of instantly destroying any government on the planet and plunging countries and continents into chaos. However, something human still existed within him. Recognizing the immense force he had in his hands, Tesla performed an act of incredible willpower and destroyed all his work and designs. The Great Pyramids are not just stone structures. They are artifacts of an ancient civilization that hold all the knowledge of our ancestors. These pyramids are essential for creating an energetic and informational field, accumulating and distributing knowledge. This assertion illustrates the incredible paradox of human learning. For example, automobiles emerged just about 150 years ago. Before that, for millennia, there was nothing like motor vehicles. The first drivers faced great difficulties, both practical and psychological. It got to the point that in one city, 2 cars collided, being the only vehicles in the city. But as more people learned to drive, this skill became easier for subsequent learners. The same applies to reading, writing, and even programming. The more people master a process, the easier it becomes for others, as if a great collective brain were strengthening its neural connections. However, this is just one of the functions of the Earth's energetic and informational field. As for the other functions, we can only speculate, or due to our limited development, we know nothing. Knowledge is given to us to the extent that we are capable of assimilating it without self-destruction, which once again demonstrates the wisdom of the ancient architects. If you have made it this far, I want to deeply thank you for embarking on this fascinating journey with us. After all, it is not every day that we delve so deeply into the mysterious lives of Nikola Tesla and Mark Twain, unraveling secrets that still resonate as enigmas in history. You might be wondering, why did this story captivate me so much? Perhaps it is because, like Tesla and Twain, we are all explorers in search of answers to life's great mysteries. Imagining Tesla, one of humanity's greatest geniuses, conversing with an entity he believed to be the devil himself, makes us reflect on the limits of human knowledge and perception. Tesla's curiosity and courage to explore the deepest corners of his mind inspire us to never stop searching, questioning, and learning. And it is this quest that unites us, that makes us more human and brings us closer to each other. So, at this moment, I want to thank you for being part of this journey. You are not just a spectator, but a fellow traveler in our quest for knowledge. Your presence, your time, and your attention are valuable, and that is what motivates us to continue bringing such incredible and captivating stories. Remember, just like Tesla and Twain, you also have the power to explore, to question, and to transform the world around you. Thank you for staying with us until the end, for being part of this community of explorers. And who knows, maybe one day we can discover more secrets hidden in the shadows of history together.